Hello, my name is Lisa. I'm here from REC4 to do my next session for the Tech Bits through the New Mexico Technology Initiative. So I'm going to go right into my PowerPoint. Here we go. I'm going to go into sharing my screen. And here we go. There we go. As soon as it gets into PowerPoint mode, I think we'll be fine. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so we are here today to talk about Publisher, which is one of the Microsoft Office programs. And we will be exploring basic use of Publisher so that you can go forward with the sky being the limit in terms of things that you can create using Microsoft Publisher. I think Microsoft Publisher is probably the program that I use the most in Microsoft Office tools in the capacity of my job as a trainer, creating flyers, creating brochures, and the various hats that I wear here at the REC. So today's goals will be to, of course, explore Publisher 101. It is considered desktop publishing program or a diagram editing program. Publisher and other programs like it are used when you're going to be using lots of graphics in order to create things like flyers, as I mentioned earlier, calendars, brochures, pamphlets, posters, graphics, visual supports, teaching materials that you can make. I mean, the sky's the limit once you have the basics down with this program. I love this program. I'm sure that there are many others that are comparable to it, which I'll go through a few in a second. Usually when I do my trainings, I ask people to put their name and district in the chat box, but we know these are going to be recorded and there is no one in the classroom, if you will, at the moment. So I'm just going to go forward as if someone were, because I know some of you will be viewing this, I hope anyway. Publisher and learning new things to this initiative is everything. They're going to be adding more even for next year. I believe the project has gotten more money. So hopefully this is going to be continued whereby sessions, professional development sessions like this will be offered to teachers, parents, your community. It's not just isolated to people who are employed by the public education department. You can share these links with your districts, use for your professional learning community meeting, possibly. For professional development of any kind, you can go into the REC9 website that you can see here at the last bullet and view any of the trainings, and they're usually only a half hour, no more than an hour, which are also your collaboration meetings usually last about that long. So I hope that you will take advantage of the availability of so many of these sessions. So when we do projects in Microsoft Publisher, like I said earlier, they can be anything. Because we are educators, I've made tons of teaching materials for both the classroom and for my own professional development for educators themselves. Agendas, creating charts for your classrooms, creating certificates and awards that you would merge with a database to print out certificates to a group of people without having to do, printing in names one at a time. Creating calendars with graphics and whatever kinds of things you need. Doing labels for files, labels for envelopes, for mailings that you can also connect to a database and merge so that you're not entering things one thing at a time. Creating brochures and pamphlets for your agencies for different purposes. Creating greeting cards that you want to make for either professional purposes, but also your personal purposes. Creating invitations, announcements, making signs, posters, flyers, anything. The sky is the limit when we're talking about working with Publisher. But one tip I do want to let you know of is that Microsoft Word and Microsoft Publisher do not play well together because Microsoft Word is a word processing program, meaning you're going to be processing a letter or something or an essay. It's a word processing, and it doesn't do well if you're trying to insert lots of different pictures or lots of different objects into a Word document. Publisher or another graphic graphic use program is what you're going to want to use for the things we're talking about today. So some of the alternatives I mentioned earlier, I've been around for a long time, so I basically use all the Microsoft Office products, which includes Publisher as the desktop publishing program. But there are other ones in your Google Docs, Adobe InDesign, the ones with the single asterisks will indicate that those are free programs that you can download for free. The ones with the double asterisks, there is a cost per month. But these are there are so many more that I'm listing here. 365 layouts is something that's probably coming with if you're working in Microsoft 365. LibreOffice is free. That seems to be a popular one. LibreOffice Draw is also free. And here are several others that you could basically do the same thing. I'm not familiar with them because I'm a creature of habit. And if something works for me, I use it. And I don't have time to learn a bunch of other ones. This will be the same for you. You will find the ones that you like and the ones that you're familiar with and the ones that give you the products that work for your needs. So please choose the one that you want to work for your needs. And one thing I wanted to mention on this particular slide was that throughout my updating and research for this project, I realized that or learned that Microsoft Publisher is not a program that is available on a Mac. You can only use Publisher on a PC. And that was an interesting little tidbit that I learned. So you'd probably want to do something like Google Docs or Google Slides or something else, some other program, but Publisher does not work on a Mac. So when we use Publisher, this is just a picture of my desktop with one of the pictures that scrolls through of my dogs, Atticus and RBG. But you can see here, this is my PC desktop, a little screenshot of that. And so I would go to my Publisher icon on my start menu. Now you can personalize your start menus by going to your Microsoft Office icon, and that will give you a drop down or a list of all the programs that have been installed into your system that you're working on. And then you would locate Publisher, and then you could drag it over onto the start menu, or you could right click on it, which would give you a selection like this, which shows all the different Publisher files that I was using in the recent past. And then you can see at the top of the oval, it says pin to start. So if you wanted to start personalizing your start menu at the bottom, like I have mine, you would go to Publisher, right click on Publisher, and then click where it says pin to start. And that would add the icon to the start menu. So here, when you do all of these, let me go backwards. Again, I'm going to go to my Publisher icon, or find Publisher in your drop down of all your programs on your computer. That will open up all the Publisher programs you've done recently. And then I would either choose one of those, or I can open a brand new clean document. As a small note, on your mouse, if you didn't already know this in terms of using your computers, because we're all only use and understand our systems to the extent that we use them. On your mouse, as you know, when you click with your left click, which is your index finger, you're only able to select things or choose things. When you right click on something with your middle finger, that gives you more choices if there are choices, or other options for the particular application that you're using. So that's just a little tip. So again, in the process or in the steps, you would go to your start menu or the start icon. Scroll to locate Publisher, right click on it, or double click on the Publisher icon so that you can get a new clean document. So when I open up, if I double clicked on Publisher, this window would come up. It shows you again, the recent folders that I've used. And you can see I've used a lot of them, especially for this, in preparing for this presentation. This is what it would look like. You have a bunch of options of what you want to create. So let's say that I'm opening up Publisher and I want to make a certificate. So I would go and I would click on award certificates, double click. And when I do that, I'm going to get this window. This window shows you all the different built-in templates for different certificates. And if you use this bar here, you can scroll down to all the different templates they have, and you can choose a template. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to keep it exactly the same. You could choose a template just because you like maybe the way things are arranged, but you can change every single thing in that template. Now I use my own that I've created over the many years with REC. I'm in my 22nd, 23rd year. So I don't really go into any of the built-in templates in Publisher because I have my own that I've made over the years, and the ones that I like, I will just make a copy of it and then tweak it to my needs for whatever purpose I'm using it for. But let's say that I selected this achievement one. Okay, so let's say that I selected that one, and that's the one I select shows up in your right navigation bar, and then you would click create. And then when you click create, that particular template comes up right on your dashboard or on your screen, ready to be worked within. So as I said, you can click on any of the text boxes, the lines, the logos, where it says business name. You can change the fonts, you can change the color background, change anything you want. But this is what it looks like when it's a document in your Publisher program on your computer right in front of you, to begin personalizing and creating the document that you want. So just in reflection, you're going to choose a sample or a template, and I use a sample like I mentioned earlier, or you'll start with a blank document, which we will do here in a few minutes, and I'll show you in steps using it in real time. Or use a, so you'll do a blank document. You'll create that document and tweak it to your needs. You'll name it and then save it in the folder that you want to save it in. And then what I've always done and what I do up to this point in my life is that I copy my favorites and redesign them. So because there's no need to reinvent the wheel. So if you're just starting to learn Publisher, you will create maybe some fun documents, maybe a flyer or a newsletter for a child's birthday party, or a flyer for a party that you might be having coming up on Easter. Maybe send a flyer to your relatives just for practice, for maybe Easter brunch or something like that, just to have fun, where you can use graphics and different fonts and things like that. It really is kind of fun. I'm going to show you some of my samples. So once I have samples that I really like, I just tweak them, and the better I get, the better you get, the better samples that you'll have to use for the purposes in the future. You never know what those are going to be. And that's why I think that I've gotten really good at Publisher, because I've had various reasons and various opportunities over the years to create things that were needed for my districts, like, posters and flyers and brochures for the early childhood transition teams that I oversee. So I'll show you some samples of those. Publisher is where you would create things like the certificate, labels, awards that you would mail merge for personalizing names into those documents, so that you're not typing names individually into documents one by one. That's just a waste of your time. And this is very, very easy. So again, I have the website here where all the TechBit sessions can be found. This session is being recorded as well. So I will continue on here. And so this is a picture of the toolbars. When you open up a Publisher document, you will have the basic toolbar on the top of the screen here. The ones that I've circled are basically the tools that I use most often. I will use a page or insert a page, insert a table or a picture of some kind, or a shape of some kind that I might want to put text inside of. Those are the ones I use the most. Borders and accents. I use those too, but usually my samples already have their borders that I added previously. So right now, these are the ones that I use. But you can see, you can add to different parts of your page. If you're doing a calendar, it gives you different options and applications for those things. You can see when I click, for example, I think insert, or I think I went down, this is what it was. It was a very long toolbar, so I split it in half. So the top toolbar is just an enlarged version of the left half of the toolbar, and the bottom is the right half of the toolbar. So just visualize this both of these just extending from one to the other. So you can add in text boxes, you can add word art, you can add pages, the date and time, headers and footers to put your organization name or a quote or whatever you might want. So these are all the toolbars that you have access, tools that you have access to in the Microsoft Publisher toolbar. So this is what you would look like. This is what your screen would look like when you're opening up a Publisher clean document. So here I'm just saying, let's just go there so that we can look at that together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to share my screen with a clean Publisher document. Let me go into my folder here. And then you'll see here you are now. It's probably going to be a short lag, but that's okay. I'm going to write, this is my Publisher TechBit folder. I'm going to right click, use my index finger, new. And then I have a list of all my Microsoft Office programs here. I'm going to click on Microsoft Publisher document, single click, and here I get a clean document. I'm going to right click, rename it. And I will just name it, let's see, TechBit Practice. So I'm just going to name that like you would do. And now I'm going to open that clean, empty Publisher document. It's just empty. Oh, wait, I have to get rid of that little box there. Sorry about that. Okay, so here you have, this is basically a clean slate. Literally a clean slate. You can do anything. So let's say I want to put a title. I'm going to make a flyer. So I'm going to add, let me see, let me move my toolbar that's up here. And I want to move this other toolbar. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to go into Insert. And when I go click my Insert tab, I have various choices here. And I sometimes like word art. If I'm going to use just one word or a couple of words, I'll use word art. If I'm going to use a lot of words, I will use a text box, because word art gives you, it can do anything you want, but the spaces between the lines is really big. So I'm just going to check that word art. Let's say we're having an Easter party. Since we're coming up on Easter, I just type that in the Word text edit box. I type what I want, and it says okay, and then the text box appears. So you don't have to worry about it until you want to do with it. So I don't like that color. I'll bring it up. I'm using it, put it up with a title. So I'll put it up and I'll center it on my document. And I will, maybe if I get that cross on there, and I want to format it. So I'm going to go up to that, let's see here, my shape outline. I want to have a black outline on my letters, and I want my letters to be a Easter color. So let's do purple. So there you go. And then I can make it bigger. You can see here, just by sizing it. I don't have to put a font size. I can just save it, stretch it. That looks kind of stretchy, so I might make it a little bit fatter, so it looks more typical. There we go. I like the way that looks. And then let's say you want to add a text box. Insert, draw a text box, and I get a little X, and I'm gonna draw my text box. And then it's a very small text. I'm in Times New Roman. I don't like that very much. I do like Calibri, so I'm gonna go into Calibri. I think what I like is Calibri is the one I like, and I'm going to go to a larger font because it's going to be a flyer. So let's go to font size 22, and I'm going to start just typing. Hello, you are invited to an Easter party or Easter celebration, and you get the point here, and you can just keep on typing. Highlight it, change the size of the font if you want to make it bigger. You might want to bold the font, italicize it. I like centering very much, so I put things in the center. And so you can see, so you can go to town. Let's say I want to insert a picture. So many times I have folders of pictures, but you could go online. So let's try and see how that works. I will go online. I'm going to a new window. I'm going to go to a Google, and I'm going to do a Google search for Easter images, which is my protocol. I'll usually put in some, oh, it said Eater, not Easter. So I will fix my spelling, and you can see I come up online with a bunch of images. So I'll click on images for Easter, and then I can just scroll down and see as many as I want. So let's see, that one's really cute here. So let's say I'm going to right click on this one with the bunny. I'm going to copy image. Let's see how that works, because there's several ways. I come into my publisher document, right click, paste. Now this is what happens to me a lot. I don't like that. It just gave me a little box. So I'm deleting that. I'm going to go back to my images online. I'm going to click on the picture, and it isolates the picture for me. And now I'm going to go in to see if I can copy the image again. Copy image. And you just have to practice. See, it doesn't show me picture. Let's see if it's there. What went? It let me do it. See, now you have the picture. You can resize it any way you want. I go to format. It says picture border. I can go to picture border. Let me pick purple. You can barely see it. So let me go down to the weight and make a really thick border for my purple border. I like that one, that matches my font color. And I can do that. And then you can also, maybe you could do something else. Maybe you want to get another text box. So I might copy the text box I have, copy it, even though the message is going to be different. Now you can see those red little squares. That means that I have words that aren't showing and that the text box needs to be bigger. See, so I enlarge my text box. Now I can see everything that's in there. And let's say I might say here, I want it to be really big. And let's say I want it really big. So I'm going to go to 41 font, and I want it to say see in all caps. So I'll do all caps. See you at my place. Exclamation point. Now let's say I want to make those letters look cooler. So I'm going to highlight the letters. I'm going to come up to my drawing toolbars. I go up to formatting my tools. Format drawing. Here we go. The shape fill, shape outline. But I want to go to shaping my letters, text fill and text outline. Okay, so I want my text to be outlined to be black, but I want the inside of my text to be lavender. There you go. And that's not as big as I want it, because I want that to be really big. So I'm going to change that to 51. And so now you can see, you can add anything you want. And that could be a cute little invitation or anything. You can change anything you want. Let's say that I wanted a border. Let's say, so I go to insert, shapes, and I can click a shape. I usually click the ones with the round. Let's do a rounded corner box. It gives me the drawing box again. And I'm going to draw a box around and make it as big as I want. And now the default is a black thin one. So I'm going to go to, it's already highlighted. So I'm going to go to my, let's see. I want to format that. And let's make it black. And I'm going to go down to the weight of it and make it as really 6 inches. So there. So now you can see I have a border around it, which could be moved. I can also highlight that border and format it with a fill. So I can do a shape fill, a solid fill, like one of these. See, I can go on one of the colors here and it's solid. Now let's do this. I can show you something. This, oh no, you might think, oh my gosh, what did I do? I covered up my words. All this means is that the shape, that outline shape is an actual shape, and I filled in the color. So I want to put this shape behind my letters so I can see what I did before. So I'm going to go up here to the toolbar again, and you can see it shows you little boxes that are in front of or behind. This is where you arrange or align the different things that you're adding, text boxes, pictures, word art, whatever it is, and put things in front of and forward and behind until so I'm going to go back and click back, and there we go. See? So now it puts the the shape, the yellow shape in the back. Now let's say that I didn't like that yellow because it was too bright. So I'm going to come up to my shape fill, and I can go to gradient, and it will give me gradients. It will give me patterns that I can use here. See, and it's yellow, but I can get different patterns here. So I can make it look kind of crazy. How about maybe diagonals? Let's see how that looks. See? And I'm going to go back. That can't see that very good. So anyway, you get the point. You can go into the fill, and then you have options for the fill. Now, if I wanted more fill colors, when you do want more fill colors, I can make it more transparent, or I can go to custom. It keeps on the yellow color, and I want to make it a lighter color yellow, let's say. So you can see I can move this little color up, and as I move the color, these numbers changed. So I've done projects where it wasn't publisher, but I wanted to make sure my colors matched. So this is where, like when I'm doing a web page, and then I can write down the color numbers, and then I can enter in the color numbers when I'm programming, and it will give you the color that I want. So you can see here's my original color where it says current, and my new color, which is lighter. I'm going to say okay, and you can see that my project now has the lighter color and the other things that I want in it. So as you can see, this is how you can make your own project. I'm going to go to my save icon. So it's saved all my work, because I already had that file in my folder. So now I can close it. I'm going to close the pictures online, and now I'm in my folder. Let me make sure I still have it. So what did we have? We called it let's see, where's our practice one? What did we call it? Oh, here it is, TechBit practice. Let's open that document, just to show us. Make sure that we got it. There we go. We got it. We saved it. There it is. So that's just one simple example of, let me stop sharing. That's just one example of how to do an actual publisher basic document. So I'm going back to sharing my screen. We showed you a publisher document. And so now I'm going to show you, I see that someone just entered. Sunitha just entered. We're almost finished, but that's okay because it's being recorded. I'm just going to show you some of the samples that I've done before using Publisher. Hi, Sunitha. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you. This will be recorded, so you can find this session on the RSI-9 website. But I'm just getting ready to show you all some samples that I've done in Publisher. Now, this is the REC office. I do the calendars every year for our agency, and I do Publisher to do the calendars. So if you look at this calendar, I went into Excel and I went online and I found like a 23, 24 calendar, 12-month calendar in Excel, which you can find. I wanted the 12 months separate like this. So I went into Excel and I took a snippet of the 12 months of the Excel spreadsheet, and that created a picture file. And then, so I cut that, I first went into Excel and I colored all the numbers that I needed for our calendar, like all the holidays and the days off and the daylight saving times and all the different colors that I needed to highlight for our calendar. And so once the calendar was 240 days, and it gave us the holidays and everything that I needed, I did the first half of the year in black and the second half of the year in white. And so I liked the way the calendar looked. So once I liked that, I just took a snippet of the calendar and then I pasted it into the Publisher. This is a Publisher document. Pasted it into Publisher. I did a text box to make the title that says, the REC 240 days. I did a table in Word, or actually, no, I did the table in Publisher, but I inserted a table to make the keys at the bottom. I just cut and pasted our logo, which is a picture file, pasted it wherever I wanted it, as well as made a little text box for the 2022-23. And then I just arranged everything the way that I liked the way that it looked. Then I put a black border around it, and then I saved it as a PDF. And that's how I use Publisher to make our calendar. This is another example. I'm the one of the regional, state regional early childhood transition coaches. So we are rolling out this brochure, which is one of those tri-fold brochures that you can fold into triplicate. And it has two sides to, this is just a picture of it, but it has two sides to it. So there are actually 6 panels. And I did this in Publisher as well. And when you go into Publisher to do a brochure, it already has the panels already for you. And then you just insert all the information that you want in your brochures, and you can create a brochure in Publisher. This is an example of my emojis or my avatars that I use in my PowerPoint presentations. You guys probably use avatars in your phone messages or your text messages. So the way that I did this was I would get my cell phone and I would go into my Bitmoji on my phone. I would find the one that I wanted, and then I would take a screenshot of it. I'd just take and all of us know how to do screenshots on our cell phones. I would take a screenshot of the Bitmoji of the avatar that I wanted. And then I would send that screenshot to myself in an email. And then in the email, I would take that picture file, and then I could play with it and make it a picture and in Publisher and create them in Publisher. And so I wish I would have had a different example of it to show you what the screenshot, because then when I put the screenshot in Publisher, then I would just crop it. I would crop off all the borders all around it of my phone that I didn't want. And I would just crop it. So the only thing that was showing was well done. And then I would right click over that little picture and save as a picture. I could save it as a picture. And then you have all, and now I have all these avatars that are JPEGs. They're all picture files. Another example is we used to have to send our monthly calendars to our boss so that he would, when he would give his director's report every month, and he could report on what all of us were doing. So this is just an example of what mine was. Doesn't mean everybody else's looked like mine. I spent a lot of time. I mean, I love working on my computer. And for me, I can do it really fast, but this was also in Publisher. I just went into Publisher, selected the calendar, the built-in calendar templates. I picked a basic black and white template that had boxes where I could add things. And you saw, well, you didn't see it in the examples of the PowerPoint. Since you're here, Sunitha, let me show you, let me go back and I'll show you. Okay, so like here, let's say I wanted to do, like if I wanted to do Publisher, I'd go in a clean Publisher, double click on Publisher, and then it would come up, this would come up. And if I was going to do a calendar, you can see right below the box that says calendars, then I would just double click on calendar. And so it would be the same exact thing. So here I clicked on certificates. When you double click on calendar, you'll get something like this that shows a bunch of different calendars. And then you would just select one. So I selected a template, right, for a certificate. And so when I selected the one I wanted, it would come up right in front of me and I can start working in it. It would be the same for you if you wanted to do the calendar like I was showing you a second ago. So let me go back to where you were at. So when I did this calendar, I selected the template that was empty that I wanted. And you can select the years that you want. And then I would just start entering into the boxes, because you can, some of these programs and Publisher, all those little boxes are already text ready. So you could just put your cursor in the box and type whatever you want, whatever colors. Sometimes I think when Jim would take our calendars, he would do one calendar and then merge all of them and put each of us in a different color. And I would do bars here for spring break. I would do whatever I'm working on, different things, and you can make you can do whatever you want. And these are great visual supports. Like you could do a calendar like for a month for your students, print it, send them to your, or print them and give them to your kids to put in their binders. Because you've been in enough trainings with me that I've always said, have students have student binders, right? And that way you can make a tool for them. You can even print off a blank calendar and start getting them in the habit of writing things in their calendars, as well as using their cell phones to write things that you want them to remember and that you want them to do, right? And using different tools they have. Because especially students that we all have, because they're younger than us, they don't use these programs, they use their phones. But if they knew that they could use a computer program that was this easy and they could print out something, they would love it. If they could send their invitations to their friends and wanted to do something personal instead of doing an email invitation. Because we can't be strapped to cyber examples all the time, right? You have to have hands-on things that you can make, right? You hear me say that all the time. So this was just a calendar example. This is an example of a visual agenda or a visual schedule for a student. And if this was for a student with special needs or a young student that wasn't with special needs, but let's say a young student, I just did a publisher document, add a text box, put in your lines. And I just did the, the shift where it has the hyphen, and then the line above the hyphen is the line that underlines things. So I would just do the text boxes for the date and the daily schedule. And then you could print something out like this, the student, and you could put it in like an acetate cover, those page covers, that you can write on and then erase. So let's say that you developed an agenda, a basic agenda for all of your kids, basically, and then let's say that you had specific things you did all day long that were general, like writing, math, assembly, whatever. And then your kids could have a daily agenda. They could have a dry erase marker, cross through or check off what they did. They turn it into you check it off in your grade book, you can erase it, and then you give it back to them for the next day, right? And then you can personalize it. It doesn't have to have pictures. It could just be a list of words for your high school kids, right? It could be in cursive writing, depending upon the font you want to choose. So you could level this down to a kindergartner, and you could level something up like this for an adult who didn't have special needs, but who needs a visual schedule, right? I mean, you could do this for yourself, grocery list, and then take a picture of it before you go to the store. I mean, there's so many ideas and that's what makes teaching fun. And that's what makes students feel like you're making it fun when you're sharing tools with them and teaching them how to do it, and then you're teaching them how to organize their lives and because I still need my schedules. I know you don't. You need that. If I didn't have my grocery list at the grocery store, I would come home with Cheetos and sour cream and candy.
Yes.
And I would remember the things I needed, right? So anyway, that's just an example, but you can tweak it because this was a blank form. I just inserted a table with 3 columns, and how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was about like 11 rows. Inserted pictures that I could find, whatever. You could size the pictures. It's really fun, right? It's fun.
Yes.
And if you wanted to start doing things like this, and if you're not familiar with doing things like this, I would love to do sessions with you. We could sit with each other on Zoom and you can create things, or if you want to create something special and you're not sure, I would love to help you start that. Because once you're comfortable with Publisher, and it's so easy, girl. All you have to do is insert boxes. You insert things into a blank picture, right? And they play well together, because you can't do it in Microsoft Word because it's a word processing program. And if you've ever tried to do that, if you've ever tried to insert pictures in a Word document, it doesn't play well, right? Microsoft Word and pictures do not play well together. Publisher and Word text boxes and pictures and graphics, everything works well in Publisher, everything. I love Publisher. It's like, I love it. I could do a commercial. Okay, so that's an example of one of my agendas. This is an example of a poster. I found the poster online, I found the poster actually online, but I created it. So I took a screenshot I just took a picture of it on my computer, but then I used the screenshot and I created my own in Publisher. So I did a text box where it says, when you enter this, it was just a text box or word art text box. And then I did the fill for the letters that I wanted, a different text box for, actually the word classroom there, I did each of the letters was an individual text box so that I could make the C purple and the L blue and the A green. So I just made really big letters. So that was like 9 text boxes with 1 letter in each text box so I could change them. So it was like you could do anything, and I just aligned them. And you can, and when in Publisher too, you could, I was able to get, I could hold my shift key down and select all the letters of the classroom, all those 9 text boxes that say classroom. And then I can click align, and it would align them perfectly, center them perfectly, align them perfectly for people that can't really, margin things. So you can do that too. And then the box that says you're amazing, you're whatever, I just did, it was just a text box. And I just did you are, and then I did all the different colors and different fonts and different colors. And so I made it from scratch. just by seeing an example that I liked, and then I recreated it in a publisher document using different fonts, different colors. I think that was like word arts. That one was word art, and then text boxes. That's all they were, text boxes. And I didn't even use pictures in that one. This is another, like when I have, like if you've seen visual sketches, like in kindergarten, or where they have the slots, this little acetate slots that you can put little cards in. Every classroom can use them. High school classroom can use them. Those hanging agendas that have the clear pockets. You could do, this is a publisher page. So I opened a clean publisher page, did 4 boxes, and then put a text box inside of each box. And then I have a million of them. They're like, I have like 50 or 40 different activities, everything from homework. I was thinking of every possible thing in the publisher document. So this is one publisher document that has like 10 pages. Let me show you it. So I'll show you. So this one that has attendance, this is just, let me show you. I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to start sharing my folder. Oh, wait a minute. I need to share with you. Wait a second. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my folder here again. Now, can you see my folder now?
No.
Yeah, can you see it yet? You're
Yes.
inside my folder.
Now I can.
There we go. Okay. So let me show you this. This is, I hope I have it. Here we go. Okay. You teach it. What level do you teach? You teach special ed, right, Sunita?
Yes, Miss.
Okay,
Yearly.
so let's say, I have an example here. This is the one I was showing you before, the visual agenda strips, and that's a publisher document. I'm going to click on it. And so look at this document. It shows you one page. But look on the side here. This is how many pages I have. Look at that. See, so I just did one publisher document, and I just kept inserting pages, copying the first one, and then just changing the words and changing the pictures. So what I did is then I copied each page in cardstock, and then I laminated them, and then I cut them out into strips. So when I have a big hanging pocket chart, and you've seen those, right? Those pocket charts.
Yes, Miss.
Kindergarten has them in a lot, yeah. And then you could have whatever you wanted, and then you could arrange your whole agenda for the day using all the strips. So you could see, I created this as many pages as activities I could think of. This was an elementary one. So sandbox, outside, blocks, cutting, art, field trip, puppets, music, bus, home, play dress up, speech, OT, PT, check in, check out, bathroom, backpack, put away breakfast. And then you could, like, there's math, numbers, letters, writing, and you could create all these yourself, right? And once you do it, you have them forever. Or you could just keep adding pages and print them more that when you think of, if I wanted more, I would just insert a page and add another one and add more. So that's what's really cool about that. So let me close that one. And so I did one for older kids like this. So if they were leaving the high school kids, so even though we teach kids with special needs, we want to be age appropriate, right? We don't want to have a 16-year-old kid with Down syndrome to be looking at an agenda that looks like it's for a kindergartner, right? Yeah. We want it to look like it's for a teenager. So I created these that look like they have more grown-up pictures on them. Sometimes I did one that's just black and white, and I printed them on orange paper, just in black ink, and they look much more grown up. See, the pictures are much more adult looking, more teenage looking, not as juvenile. And then I also made one for blank ones. So if something came up as an emergency, I could just write really quick with a dry erase marker and maybe put on my schedule, oh, there's a change, ask me about the change, or something like that, right? So these ones would allow you to put something in them maybe that you didn't expect, right? And you're just working on the fly. So these are just materials. I love Publisher. I've made so many materials out of Publisher. This is the poster, like all these different posters. Let me show you. This is the insert, the brochure I was showing you on the examples. This is the brochure for the C to B transition. It might take you a second. Do you see it yet? Can you see it now?
No, Miss.
No?
No.
Not yet? Okay, I think I must be, let me stop sharing. Let me stop sharing and then go back to, let me go back to sharing my screen again. And here I go. Okay. Now tell me if you can see it. It's loading here for a second. It'll take a minute. There we go. I think you're getting it. There. Now you can see it, right?
Yes, Miss.
So you can see that's the front page of the brochure. And so I had it all the panels. And then here's the second page on the other side. So when you fold it, it has all that information in it. And it's just a 2-page, and it was from a template for brochure. So if you wanted to make a brochure, you choose the template, get rid of whatever you like, and then, but at least the panels are spaced for you when you do a publisher brochure. So I've done all kinds of, I'm gonna stop, did I stop sharing? Let me see. So those are all the different ones. Let me go back to see if I finished anything else in my PowerPoint. Oh, here we go. Okay. Back to the PowerPoint. And it's
not
loading.
showing.
I think it should.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's
There we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, here we go. So the last example was that classroom poster that I just found. You know, you can find really cool quotes and things that you like online and then make your own. You don't even have to be an artist. All you have to know how to do is to choose text boxes, choose a shape, choose a whatever, practice with your font sizes, practice. I found this poster. I use this poster a lot, as you know. I didn't create it, but I made the poster from what I saw online. And all those colored letters are different text boxes that are the same size, right? And then the text boxes for the 2 black letters, everybody gets the same thing and everybody getting what they need. And then did a border, did a background color, and that's my poster. And if I wanted, you know, and you could always move it with your cursor and you could space them around and move things around. And it's really fun. I mean, for me, it wasn't ever work. I could sit in front of my favorite TV show or something and create things while I'm watching TV, just because it's fun. And I'm the kind of person that I like to have things, I like to be doing things with my hands all the time. And I just love it. When I got my niche at REC, this is my niche. I'm good at this stuff and it's fun. So that's one example, a few examples. So we're on the last slide. You know, you can't break anything. You can't lose anything. You have your undo button, right? We have the button that says undo. So I don't ever really save things unless I always save them, but you can always undo things. These are just little reminders from the presentation about how, you know, Microsoft Word and pictures don't play well together. But when you can make things like I was showing you, it really amps up your teaching game. And especially as a special ed teacher, we have to back up everything we say with some kind of picture, some kind of visual, right? Some kind of something that our kids can cross off, or they can do a visual agenda, take off what they finished, put it in a basket. I can help you make all kinds of materials like that. I don't know what you're using now or how much you like doing things like this, but I know you come to these trainings a lot, so I know that you're interested. And I would do anything for you. I'll do anything for teachers that want to learn and want to learn how to make materials of some kind. So I would love to show you all the different kinds that I have. In fact, the next session I'm doing next week, I think it's next week, and I'll show you here in a second because it's on the presentation, is going to be on creating visual supports using Publisher. So register for that one too. And I'll show you in a second. Let's go look at that. Let's see here. And so like I was saying on the last slide, when you make a project, I just duplicate the ones that I like, the ones that I've made before. I'll just make a copy of them and then change them because the certificate's already made, right? So I can just tweak it. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Once you've made something that you're really happy with, you can just make copies and copies and just tweak them. So let me show you. Okay, here's the other trainings. So the visual on April 4th, that's in what, 2 weeks from now, I think. I'm going to be doing creating visual supports in Publisher.
Okay.
So since you're here for Publisher, if you're interested, attend the one on April 4th. And because I sent the links out to everybody, and I'll probably send it again because did you get it sent to you? I think you probably got it sent to you by Danielle, right?
No.
Who sent it to you?
Yes, Miss. Thank you.
How did you get it?
This
You're in
one?
Santa Rosa, right? You're in
Yeah.
Santa Rosa, right? Yeah. Well, at least they send you stuff. So yes, you should have the links. So if you want to learn to do more visual schedules and stuff, I'm going to be doing more of that at that next session. Okay.
Okay,
So you already have my contact. I'm gonna stop sharing. And I'm gonna stop the recording. I'm
yes.
glad you came in. I'm glad you had time to come in.